I haven't told a love spell story in so long. I am back with another spooky story. The person who submitted the story says she's from Nigeria, but she lives in the States. And she pretty much put a spell on her man. And she says that she wished she had not. We're gonna call her Zuri. So Zuri says that she met this guy at work. He's also Nigerian. Said that from the get-go, they just understood each other. Their banter, everything about them just went. It was just flow. It was easy. And they started off as friends, and eventually their friendship progressed to a little bit more. We're gonna call the guy Charles. She says that she knew everything about Charles, or so she thought she did. And they were each other's best friends, and now they get to explore this new romantic side of their relationship. They started to get very serious quite fast, actually. Charles would come over often. He would often stay the night, sometimes drop her off to work. And Zuri did find it weird that he never invited her over. At this point, they're 6 months into their relationship. He's been coming to her house a lot, but she's never been to his sides. She also never met his friends, as, he started meeting some of her friends. And at this point, Zuri starts to feel like maybe Charles is hiding something. One day, she went through his phone, and Lord and behold, she found out that Charles not only was married, but also had children, and he lived with them. So upon finding out that information, obviously Zuri is heartbroken, and she did what any logical heartbroken person would probably not do. She decided to put a love spell on him. She said their relationship went on to be absolutely amazing for the next few months. Zuri said she never confronted him about the family. She never said anything. She literally just went to somebody. They told her what to do. She did exactly what she was told, and she just waited. And fair enough, she noticed an immediate shift within their relationship, as he wanted to be around her more, and he even wanted to go as far as moving in with her. Every thought that he had was of her. Even when he went to hang out with his friends, he was constantly talking about her. The man became so one-track minded that he forgot about his previous family altogether. The wife that he had previously, the kids, he just basically moved on. And Zuri is not thinking anything of this. She's just like, this is great for me because I get the man and the man wants me. So they moved in together and things started getting a little bit, I guess you can say, weird. Now, Zuri says she doesn't know if she doesn't know if these two events are related. However, shortly after moving in and living together, dude started sleepwalking. This isn't something that she's ever noticed before. So the first time it happened, she decided to bring it up to him in the morning. Like, bro, you sleptwalked. What happened? Have you ever done that before? And he's like, what? No, I've never sleptwalked before. Zuri didn't think anything of it, just moved on with her life. It wouldn't happen often, like back to back, but it would still happen once in a while. And one thing that she noticed was when he would get up from his sleep, he would just basically get up from the bed and walk towards the door, walk downstairs as if he's being led by something or as if he can actually see, but he's just unresponsive, right? And he would walk to the front door and just stand there. So he's standing by the door, not moving. And Zuri knows that she's not supposed to just wake somebody up when they're sleepwalking. So she's just like, she doesn't know what to do. And after standing there for a while, dude would just start banging his head on the door repeatedly. And he would do it aggressively, somehow not wake up and just fall out. One day, Charles gets a call from his mother, who still lives in Nigeria. She said that the phone was on speaker and Charles is just talking to his mother, and his mother sounded very concerned. She said that she had these terrible dreams about Charles and his girlfriend, and that she does not trust her. And mind you, phone's on speaker, so Zuri's hearing all of this. And obviously, Zuri knows that he's not going to leave her, so it doesn't matter how his mother feels. Zuri says now she doesn't know if the mother winded up having more conversations with Charles, but things started to get really uncomfortable for Zuri. She started to have nightmares, and her nightmares were constant every single night. She was being chased by a horrifying. She was being chased every night by this horrifying old black lady with a long tongue that was that of a snake, chasing her every single night, whether she prayed or not. She said every single night she felt like the snake was getting closer and closer and closer to her, until eventually one night she had a dream that the snake bit her. She woke up from her dream. To clarify, it was an old woman in all black with the mouth of a snake, a very long tongue. She woke up after being bit, And now every single day she is experiencing a new level of health issues. It started with nosebleeds, then it led to nose and eyes and mouth and ears, bleeding out of every hole on the face. And during this time, weirdly, Charles starts to distance himself from her. And she starts to feel betrayed because why are you leaving her when she's sick? Eventually, Charles cut himself loose. He moved out and moved back in with his old family. And now she still suffers from health issues. She says now she knows she probably has to go to a voodoo priest or something, but she also has no will to live after Charles left. Wow, that was a really dark one. I am back with another spooky story, and this one is a submission from South Africa. We're gonna call the person who submitted the story Deli. So this story happened to Deli 1 year ago. So she was pregnant and she was still at school, and she decided that she did not want to tell her parents because, well, they weren't gonna take it very well. So she decided that she was going to actually hide her pregnancy. So during the time that she was pregnant, she just kept having these lucid dreams. And it was always about someone trying to unalive her and her child. Mind you, she's not even the type of person who believes in voodoo or witchcraft or any of that stuff. But the dreams kept going and going, like this was a constant thing. To the point where she just decided, you know what, I'm gonna tell my boyfriend about this. And so she told her boyfriend, and her boyfriend said, well, maybe it's because you're stressed. So after her boyfriend said that, she was like, you know what? Maybe he's right. So she's just gonna focus on school and her exams and finishing out. So fast forward 1 month later, this girl comes to her and says that you will never be happy. Never in your life will you be happy. And you are about to get the worst news of your life. And at that time, she didn't know what this girl meant by this. So she just went about her day. And 2 weeks later, things started to get really bad for her and her boyfriend. So they winded up breaking up, and they kept fighting over literally the smallest of things. And the next thing too was that her boyfriend, literally right after their breakup, he took no time before he moved on. And poor Deli was heartbroken, decided maybe she should move on too. So she winded up finding this guy. He was very supportive and very nice, but still there was something off about him. But Deli didn't think twice about it. Then a few nights after meeting the new guy, those dreams about someone trying to unalive her and her child would then come back. But only thing is, this time, those dreams felt so real. Like this is a reality. One night she had a dream. Yeah, remember the girl who gave her a warning and told her that her life was gonna get worse, right? That night, she dreamt of that girl. She saw the girl in her dream and she was just staring at her. She tried to scream and wake up, but nothing. Now this girl who was just standing at a distance staring at her starts to crawl closer and closer and closer to Deli. Now mind you, Deli is stuck. She cannot move. She can't even wake up right now. And the closer that the girl comes to Deli's face, she can feel tears literally rolling down her face. She couldn't do anything. The only thing she was able to do was pray really, really hard in her head. And finally, the strange girl got really close to her and said, that child that you are carrying will die. You were not supposed to have a child, but you did, and you will pay for that. And all of a sudden, there was smoke in the room, and poof, lady was gone. Again, she does not know this girl. And just like that, Deli woke up. She jumped out of her sleep. And when she woke up, she noticed that she was physically wet. And she was drenched, y'all. It was as though somebody poured water on her. There was tears on her face. And then that's when she knew. She just inherently knew that something was wrong. She gets up and calls her baby daddy and tells him everything. And he was like, hell nah, not my baby. So he decided to take her to a voodoo priest here in Venda. She's from Venda, Limpopo, actually. So they call them voodoo priest or prophet or nganga. So anyway, they went to go see the nganga and they told her that basically somebody had done a spell on her. And the spell that that person put on Deli was that she could never bear kids. Which means that the person had taken her womb. Which is why the person was so angry when they found out that Deli was pregnant. And mind you, Deli thought her entire life that she couldn't get pregnant. So she too was shocked when she winded up being pregnant. Deli knew that she couldn't give birth because again, she would be trying for a long time with her boyfriend and nothing ever came from it. So this time that she actually succeeded, It was a shock for everybody. So all of a sudden now, boom, she's pregnant. So the Nganga told them that the person who did this is actually very angry that she's pregnant and is actually willing to go as far as it takes to unalive her and the baby. And mind you, Delhi is petrified. Imagine, unbeknownst to you, keep in mind, somebody put a spell on you that you cannot have kids, when suddenly you wind up pregnant. And once you're pregnant, you're having all these weird dreams and shit that somebody is out here to get you and your child. You seek a Nganga and they tell you that somebody out there is powerful enough that they done put a spell on you. Somehow you broke kinda the spell, and now the person is upset and angry, and now they are gunning for you and your child full force. So needless to say, Delhi is horrified. And mind you, Delhi don't even believe in this stuff. But the Nganga gave them medicine to use. She gave her something to bathe with and another one for drinking. That night, she was so scared her baby daddy winded up staying the night with her. In the morning, her new boyfriend came to visit. Because remember, they're not together no more. He moved on, he got a new gal, and she moved on too with this new, very peculiar man. So a new boyfriend comes and he finds her with her baby daddy. He gets mad, leaves, and breaks up with her and literally never heard from him. So the girl who's doing the voodoo on her winds up appearing in her dreams after the breakup. And the girl tells her, I told you things were going to be bad for you. But this time, homegirl gets on the bed and starts attacking Delhi. She starts to choke her, and mind you, Delhi is now fighting for her life. Delhi is literally fighting for her life, but this girl is literally so strong, she thought she was going to die. The girl then takes out this huge knife and attempts to stab her with it. And Delhi is crying and shouting for help. And right as the girl was about to attack her with the knife, someone, or she said something, protected her. It was like this big white snake. So this humongous white snake popped up, saved her, and she's praying and praying, and eventually she wakes up. She woke up with bruises on her neck and arms, and it was so bad that she had to go to the doctor. And when the baby father found out what happened and how his baby mother's in the hospital, he went mad. So he's angry and he went to go see the Nganga alone. And when he came back, the only thing he told Delhi was, she will never bother you again. And he was right. After that, the girl never bothered her again. But curiosity winded up getting the best of Delhi. So she winds up asking her baby daddy, well, what did you do to the girl? Like, why won't she be bothering me again? Well, he told her that when he went back to the voodoo priest alone, he found out the girl was just jealous of her. And the whole time, she just hates her for having this caring boyfriend. The girl is looking at Delhi's life and thinking this is just way too good and she doesn't like it, so she's going to ruin it. And that's why she did all of that. And if you're wondering who the girl is, if you're wondering who is the culprit, who was doing this to her, who was this random girl that she didn't even know? Girl popping up in her sleep to attack her, and she has no idea who the fuck the gal is. Come to find out, she was one of her baby daddy's ex-girlfriends. Yup, his ex did all of that. So the baby daddy told her that the priest used magic. That the priest basically used magic to unalive her, the ex, and that's just what it was. So fast forward to this year, Delhi says that her and her baby daddy did resolve their problems. And they are back together and now have a healthy baby girl who is 3 months old. And that's all. Wow. Congratulations to you, Delhi. I am so glad that it worked out. Y'all need to stay prayed up. And this is what happens when you have people around you who actually care. Thank you for submitting this spooky story. If you have a story that you want me to tell, please feel free to submit them to my Instagram DMs. Send me a voice note. I love you, my abducted human. I'll see you guys in the next video from your favorite Haitian homegirl. I am back with another spooky story. This is another spooky submission from Limpopo. Y'all remember Delhi? She submitted another story, and this one comes from her grandmother. So the grandma says back in her days, there was this girl who used to live with her mom and dad. She was the only child at the time. She was 15 years old. She said that the girl used to speak alone. She was a very strange girl. She used to talk to herself, claiming that she's talking to her god friend, something like that. So one day, she told her mother that her so-called god friend said that she should hunt for witches. Her mother was like, nah, you joking. She looked at her daughter like she was strange and just pretty much let it go. Like, hunt for witches? Like, what's wrong with you, girl? And she let it go, thinking her daughter's probably just bored or bluffing. And mind you, yes, she's strange, but nobody really thinks too deep into it. She did tell her mother to hunt for witches, but you know, it's not that deep. And that was until the mom was hearing her daughter talking to herself in the middle of the night. It's the middle of the night. She's talking to herself, laughing, and she decided to go in the room to check on her daughter. And when she checked her daughter's room, she saw a big black shadow with her daughter. And her daughter was holding a cat's head and eating it. A cat's head and eating. They're eating the cats. They're eating the dogs. The mother seeing this was horrified, petrified. She literally just backed away slowly and just tiptoed back to her room. She gets to the room. She woke her husband up and told him exactly what the fuck she just witnessed. The husband waking up is basically telling her, yo, you and my daughter, both of y'all need to stop with this bullshit. Like, stop it. Now you done woke me up out of my sleep to tell me about this lie. Cut it out. No more. It's not funny. He was tired of the two of them lying. He went back to sleep, and poor mom, she could not fall asleep after what she saw. She stayed up the whole night. Now morning comes. Her husband goes back to sleep, and while this is happening, her daughter walks into her room in the middle of the night, gave her the creepiest smile ever, and just walked back out and left. Mother's up all night. She definitely cannot sleep after that. The following day, it's morning time, and her daughter is supposed to get to school. And the mother was terrified to go to the daughter's room, so she sent her husband instead. And the husband goes into the daughter's room. He bathes her, gets her ready for school. And the daughter says, Dad, today I want to take the bus to school. And the dad, being the person that he is, he's not suspicious of anything, so he just said, okay. She went to go ride the bus, and on the bus, she sat next to a lady. And this is when things take a huge turn. The shadow then came to the little girl and said, do you remember when I told you that you should kill witches? The little girl said, yes. The shadow then said, in reference to the lady sitting next to her, you should kill her before she kills you. And that's when the little girl took out her knife and just started stabbing this woman. And she just... And this lady is shouting. Everybody in the bus is just horrified. Like, everybody is just frozen with terror. Everybody is screaming. The bus stopped. And everybody just exited the bus. And now this woman is like, she's still getting stabbed up. And she's trying to fight for herself. However, this little girl, is way too strong. She winded up unaliving the woman. And again, the shadow came back to the little girl and told her to cut the woman to pieces and to eat her. And so she starts doing just that. She cuts the woman piece by piece, eating her. And the police came, and mind you, little girl could not stop. She was just eating her, and the police just came. They grabbed her, and they took her to a witch doctor because just upon looking at her, they knew she was possessed. Here in Venda, a witch doctor is called Angunga. They took her there and called her parents. And they went there, they did a ceremony. And they told the parents that she was possessed by a spirit, and they did a ritual. But unfortunately, doing that ritual ended up killing the little girl altogether. And in that moment, the husband ended up believing his wife, and the wife blamed the husband for it. And the wife, unfortunately, winded up going crazy over the whole situation. That was a spooky one. Thank you for submitting that one. I love you, my abducted humans, from your favorite Haitian homegirl. Hi, my YouTube people. I know we don't connect as much as I would like to, but honestly, I love y'all. And I wish we had more time to connect with each other a little bit more, but we thank God that we finally get to do this again for another week, so let's make it count. With that being said, I am back with another spooky story. We're gonna call the person that submitted the story Naya. And Naya is from Botswana. So Naya says that she's been having weird dreams, and all those dreams started once she converted to Islam. So as Muslims, they pray 5 times a day. And she was doing this every day until one day she didn't pray for the entire day. And that night, she had a dream about this old lady that she's never seen before. And there was a house on fire, and the lady was just sitting there outside the house, unfazed. And this lady turns and looks at Naya and says, "You're not supposed to be here." When suddenly a man with a black face and a black hand grabbed her neck and started choking her. And he was doing it with so much force that her throat was closing in and she could not breathe. And she woke up from that, and judging by how real that felt, she started to think maybe that wasn't just a dream. So she started back again praying 5 times a day. And at this point, she just wanted to experiment to see what would happen if she just stopped her prayers. And fair enough, when she stopped, those dreams would come back. This time, she was sleeping and she felt herself dreaming when suddenly a mermaid pulled her. You heard that correctly, a mermaid. She described the mermaid to be so ugly and scary. And she said, and the funny thing is, she knew that she was in her room sleeping and dreaming right now. But somehow she still felt this creature pull her head from her pillow to underwater. And right after that happened, she woke up. And although she was horrified, she wanted to know more. She said, I know. Crazy. So she skipped prayer. Well, the following time, she had a dream that a big black snake was following her, and somehow she knew that the snake knew her name. The snake then bit her, and while she is in excruciating pain from this snake bite, the snake is looking at her smiling. And as she's in pain, this man that she had never seen before literally pulls up and starts sucking the poison out of the snake bite. Then suddenly the snake said, that man wasn't just sucking the poison out of you. He was also sucking your blood. And she woke up. This time, she felt super drained. So she found it weird, so she told her friends about these dreams that she's been having when she skips prayer. And her friend tells her, hey, maybe you shouldn't skip prayer. And her friend told her that those were nothing but jinns, aka evil spirits that were trying to kill her in her dreams. Your favorite Haitian homegirl is back with another spooky story. This person said that they got some ghost/zombie stories that they would like to share. And they are from the Seychelles Island. So this one is a very short encounter. We're gonna call the person who submitted the story Shelly. So this story happened a long time ago. So in the old days, people used to work on the smaller island on Seychelles. So there was a young man who lived in a house. And this wasn't no regular house because there was a grave inside the house. Yes, a grave. And it was rumored that people who used to work there would not stay in the house because of the grave. But this one particular guy that came to work on the island, he didn't mind that that house had a grave inside of it. So much so that he would stay in the house with the grave. He would clean it every day, put flowers on it, take care of it, as if the person's grave was like one of his family. And this went on for a while. Then one day, the guy had a dream. He dreamt of a man that gave him very specific instructions. This man came to him in his dreams and said, tomorrow before you leave the house, broom it, and while doing so, walk backwards and close the door. Listen to me and do what I have told you. So the guy then woke up and did what he was told in his dream by that person. He left for work and came back home. But when he came back to the house, he found footprints. So he's confused by these footprints because they're very clear. Somebody's been inside of his home. So he went to the person who was in charge of the island, a manager of some sort. And this person is called Résissé or Regisseur, which the person says is Creole, but they don't have the English word for it. So he went and spoke to that guy. And again, it's a small island. There's not many people that, come in and out of this area. So the Regisseur decides to go back to the house to investigate. So he decided that he was going to measure the size of the footprints and compare it to people in the area. And apparently, they found a match. So come to find out, the man who's been living in a house with the grave, he had beef with somebody else. And that other person was actually planning on unaliving him in the house. So when he had the dream of the ghost coming to him and telling him, hey, this is what you need to do and walk out of the house backwards. So unbeknownst to him, he was actually going to get unalived that night. But the ghost came and told him what to do that morning. And when he came back home, they found footsteps. They matched the footstep to the guy he was beefing with. Pretty much the ghost saved him and warned him about his own unaliving the night before. And he did that all because the guy has been paying respect and cleaning his grave every single day. I am back with another spooky story. This one is a submission from South Africa. So there was a girl called, wow, please bear with me guys, Ntabi Singh. We're gonna call her Singh. Singh had a little sister called Lorado. They had a mother who unfortunately had brain cancer at the time. And the mother's final wish before she died was that those two siblings would stay together. And that's exactly what the girls did. Everywhere they went, they had friends, but they pretty much avoided everybody because they stuck together. They were each other's friends. They went to high school together. And since Singh is older than Lorado, Singh took a gap year when Lorado was in 12th grade so that they could go to the exact same university at the exact same year. And since it had only been them two together for a long time, they decided to get boyfriends. They got boyfriends at the same time and they lived with their boyfriends for a couple of months. And everything was going good until it wasn't. Singh always had a beautiful, lovely relationship with her boyfriend. I mean, it was sister approved. They were doing their thing. I mean, he was a lovely man. Until he wasn't, and he started to change. He started beating Singh. And every time this would happen, she would complain to her sister, Lorado. But Lorado and her boyfriend's relationship at the time was actually getting stronger and better. Every time Singh's boyfriend would hit her, she would go and tell her sister. Until it came to a point where he beat her so bad he broke her hand. She told Lorado, and Lorado called the police. The police came, investigated the situation, and her boyfriend winded up getting arrested. As he should. Why you hitting women? So Singh winded up going to social workers for a few months, and she was okay. And a few months after that, Lorado's boyfriend winded up proposing. They winded up getting married a few years later, and Lorado and her husband went on to have this beautiful baby boy. Since Lorado and her husband were working after giving birth to the baby, her sister Singh decided to step in and offered to help take care of the baby. A few weeks later, the baby started to get really sick. So the baby was getting really sick, and it was getting worse. Every day they took the baby to the hospital for a different reason. At first, they didn't know what it was until they did. They said that the baby was positive. And now, mind you, this is shocking news. So Lorado then started to take days off of work to take care of the baby herself. One of the days, her neighbor called her and said, "I see your son has been very sick lately, and Singh is the cause of it. She is HIV positive herself and has been taking her blood." Oh my God. And putting it on the baby's porridge and milk. Singh went on to tell the neighbor that she wanted revenge because she made her boyfriend get arrested while her relationship was getting better and better with her husband. Remember the night that Lorado called the police because her sister's hand was broken from her boyfriend beating her? The boyfriend got arrested, and I guess Singh never forgave her sister for getting her boyfriend arrested. And meanwhile, her sister's relationship with her boyfriend at the time was getting better. How dare you live and have such a happy marriage? Needless to say, Lorado was shocked. And at that point, she had no idea whether she should keep her mother's wish or abandon it. That one wasn't really a voodoo story, but nonetheless, very interesting. I don't even know what to say about that one. First, let me just say, if you are in a domestic violent relationship, please get out of there. I know it's easier said than done, but you are strong enough to walk away and divinely protected to remain safe. God wouldn't give you anything that you could not handle. Stop letting that man put his hands on you. He is not sorry, and he is going to do it again. And it's going to get worse and worse every time. Even if you are a strong woman and you fight for yourself, even if you are fighting him back, choose yourself at the end of the day, because no one who truly loves you will want to inflict pain on you. Anyway, I love you, my abducted human. From your favorite Haitian homegirl. I am back with another spooky story, and this is a story submission from Zimbabwe. We'll call the person who submitted the story Nick. This story happened to Nick's uncle. Nick said where her uncle lived was a very rural area. So in the event that you wanted to go anywhere, you would have to walk a very long distance, like 30 to 40 minutes. And this was 30 to 40 minutes of walking before you can even see anything. So boom, this unfortunate night, he was walking back home, and there was a rule that if you're working late at night in that area, that you do not greet or talk to people you see on the road. This is important. If you're working late and you're going home and you see other people on the road, mind your business. Do not talk to them. So this particular night, it's late. It's like 11 p.m. So as Nick's uncle is walking home, he notices that there are 3 people ahead of him. And it's just 3 regular guys walking. So he decided, you know what? It's dark. It's freaky out here. So he decided to go up to those guys and ask them if he can walk with them. And that way, it's dark. He won't feel so alone and so freaked out as he has 3 other people that he's walking with. I thought the rule was... Never mind. And as he approaches these 3 guys to ask the question, y'all, these niggas took off their heads and looked at him. They took off their heads and looked at him. Their heads were in their hands, and all three of them just stood there holding their heads, staring at Nick's uncle. And the uncle, seeing this, was literally horrified. He was so scared, he just took off running. So as he is running frantically, like he's running away, and as he's running, he starts to see other people running with him. So he's assuming that those people are running from the exact same fate. So he's running senselessly, and finally he finds this guy who is riding this motorcycle. At this point, dude is exhausted. He's tired. He hails down the motorcycle like, "Stop, please. If you can help me, let me get a ride on your motorcycle." The guy on the motorcycle stops, agrees, lets him get on the motorcycle. So he's sitting on the motorcycle and he's thinking that he's moving because he can see that he's moving and he can feel that he's moving. And apparently that was all an illusion till he stopped. And then he realized, he put his foot down and he realized, wait a minute, this motorcycle hasn't even moved an inch. And he looks in front of him, and the guy that is driving the motorcycle suddenly just starts growing and growing and growing. Nick's uncle got off the motorcycle and just ran straight home. Wow, that was her uncle's journey home. If you're from Zimbabwe, is this a common thing? If you have an interesting spooky story that you want me to tell, please feel free to submit them to me. Please send me voice notes on Instagram. Stop. Listen, I cannot read y'all stories because a lot of y'all grammars is so bad. And no shade, I don't mean to come for y'all, I really don't. Because I also understand that a lot of y'all are international. But I literally get brain aneurysms trying to read what y'all are saying sometimes. So please, if you want me to tell your story, please go ahead and submit it to me via voice note on Instagram. If you know your English is not that strong, please just send me a voice note on Instagram. It is frustrating as fuck reading tens and thousands of stories, trying to figure out what the fuck are you trying to say with this one sentence. Just send me a voice note. And if you can't submit a voice note and you don't have the grammar, just don't submit a story. And I also want to take this time to give a disclaimer and say that I am not a spiritual healer of any sort. I am not a spiritualist that can help you with your spiritual problem. I don't have spiritual advice to give you. I don't know what those dreams mean. And I do not know a person who can work or perform voodoo on you. No, my family is not available to help you with whatever you're going through in your life. While I sympathize with you and I hope that you do get the help that you do need, it will not be with me as I am just a storyteller. I hope that makes sense. From your favorite Haitian homegirl. I haven't told a mermaid encounter spooky story in so long. I am back with another spooky story. And this one is another submission from Limpopo, South Africa. So this story happened to one of my supporters' dad. We're gonna call the person who submitted the story Kia. So when Kia's mother gave birth to her, her father decided to go and visit the mom. They did not live in the same area. So the mom gives birth and he decides to go visit her. It was holiday, he's a teacher, he got the time off, so why not? Kia's mom was living at the time with her family on a farm. So came June, Kia's father did come down and he winded up booking a hotel to stay close to where her mother was living. Well, her dad stayed in a hotel because it's in their culture that, if they're not married yet, they can't really stay in the same house, if that makes sense. He wasn't a husband, so boyfriends weren't allowed to stay in. It's her culture. So anyway, her dad is staying nearby in a hotel. It's all good. So every morning when it's really early, he would go jogging. And mind you, it's June. And in June, it's actually winter in South Africa. Oh, wow. So it can be very dry and dark. I don't know if y'all remember the story about Seventh Fountain. It's from the same person. So the mom told the dad about Seventh Fountain and that this is a very weird space. A lot of spooky stuff happens and that, be very careful. This is not the city. Seventh Fountain is not a very good place, so be very cautious. But her dad being a city boy, he didn't buy it. He thought the mom was just being paranoid, so he was just like, alright, thanks for the warning. Cool beans. So now it's one early morning, 6 a.m, mind you. He started jogging, as he does early morning. Now, Seventh Fountain had some very long, tall trees with very long paths. There was a path on his left side, and he took it. He never took that route before, but hey, he took it today. Something in him just said, go this way, so he went that way. He kept jogging until he came across a crossroad. So he stopped and looked back. He noticed that the path seemed longer and the trees started looking very weird. Like the trees had faces on them. And then he starts to hear whispers. And then suddenly he just has this funny feeling that someone or something is watching him. Now, her father was not the type to get spooked, but that day, oh, he was scared. For the first time in his life, this grown man was petrified. Then he told himself, you know what, he should go back, and he proceeded on running back home. And as he's running back, he saw mom, well, his girlfriend, walking the other direction on the right side of the river. And he's seeing her, and she has a bucket on her head, she has the baby on her back, and she's just walking, not paying attention to him or anything. So then he stops and he's like, what the fuck? So he's looking and he slowly just starts walking towards her. So he walks slowly to her, and before he can call out Gina, which would be Kia's mother's name, he said she turned back. She turned back and said, go back home. I tell you, breakfast is ready. The dad said he doesn't know what happened, but he turned around and he felt something literally take over his body. He walked straight back to his hotel and stayed in his room. Now, a few hours later, Kia's uncle comes to the room, I'm guessing her mom's brother, and said, bro, where have you been? Talking to Kia's dad. And her dad is like, I've been laying here, man. What's up? And at this point, it's been a few hours since he got back from the jog. And the uncle said the strangest thing ever. The uncle looked at her dad and said, no, you've been missing for 3 days. We were worried sick. And her dad is like, what? No, I went jogging this morning. I saw your sister. She had a bucket on her head and she was headed to the river to fetch some water. She told me to go back home and breakfast is ready, so I just came back. The uncle was like, what? And the uncle proceeds on saying, there is no way Gina could carry a bucket. She has stitches from her C-section. You know this. So how could she be walking that early, all frilly willy-nilly at 6 a.m, carrying a bucket on her head to fetch water? That was not Gina. So then the uncle says, wait, which river are you talking about? And her father told the uncle. And upon hearing the answer, the uncle stopped, said, wow, you did not see my sister. That was a mermaid. Nobody goes to that river, and you're lucky that you weren't actually taken. And her father says that he never jogs there again. And at this point, he started to be a lot more cautious and listening to people around him when they told him about Seventh Fountain. All right, thank you guys so much for watching this story time. If you have a story that you would like me to tell, please feel free to DM me. I've been telling the same story. Like, I'm tired, y'all. I've literally been telling stories for 2 hours. And I've only gotten 30 minutes worth of stories. This is hard, YouTube people. Please, you gotta bear with me. I've literally been sitting here telling spooky stories since I got home from work. My back hurt, my stomach hurt, my ribs hurt. It's literally been 2.5 hours. It is 11:37. I am exhausted, you guys. I only have 30 minutes. Tomorrow, I have to complete the rest of the 30 minutes by finding other stories that are good enough to tell. If you feel like these stories are not scary enough, well, guys, this is what you guys are submitting to me. I am exhausted and my ribs hurt from talking. Good night.